Now, traditionally, you may have noticed that we don't do a very good job of project forecasting. We found one study from last year that looked at 3,000 projects and less than 10% of them completed on time, on budget. You might have also noticed that some of your colleagues, maybe even yourself, spend hours on manual reporting. As much as 30% of time can be spent on excuse me, gathering and consolidating data. So with that, I'll hand straight to Lindsay, who will be showing you how to reduce some of that administrative overhead and get better predictability and decision making.
Cool, thank you, Nikki. Yeah, so obviously, as Nikki was saying, reporting is such a big part of project management. You know, we use that term quite loosely, but it is a massive part of making decisions on which projects to prioritize and what to do on projects. So it's really important that we do it well. I will be showing you how we do things a bit differently in Sharktower in a second, but I just wanted to cover first sort of why we're doing it and what problems we're trying to solve. So we see, as Nikki mentioned, you know, hours, days often wasted manually pulling together static PowerPoints. That data is not actually linked to the underlying plan or the scope. Is manually copied and pasted from one document to another, meaning you've got, well, apart from the wasted time, you've got different sources of the truth kind of flying about all over the place. And also that data is then, you know, it's static, it's out of date half the time. Things move so fast on projects that by the time it lands in any stakeholder's inbox, it's not an accurate reflection of reality anymore. So in Sharktower, it's quite simple. You know, all of the data is real time, it updates in real time everywhere across the system, and it's all connected. So there's a relational database model that sits behind Sharktower, which is your sort of data model version of projects. And all of that data is connected to each other. So you can really easily drill down, find out more, and you don't have that kind of multiple versions of the truth. Everyone just has the same understanding of reality, and it's the current understanding of where things are at on the project as well. We also, you know, with all of that out-of-date data, that's what you're basing your business decisions on, and it's really, really hard to know where to focus, which project to throw resources or money at, which project to stop, which project needs support. So in Sharktower, we've got portfolio reporting as well as the lower level project reporting, and I'll also talk to you about our AI-driven models as well, because they can sort of help you understand better where to focus. Before I jump into the tool, I just wanted to be clear on the types of data that we're talking about. So Sharktower is, as well as having a reporting kind of capability, it's very much a delivery management tool. So the data is literally the data that is everyone working on the project capturing what they're working on. So the types of data that we're talking about would be the project plan. So that's your, you know, high, medium level activities, pieces of scope, key milestones, lower level scope, so task stories, the actual work that's being done by team members, things like meeting actions, risks, issues, decisions, and then really actual discussion between team members. So the kind of project commentary that goes on a project, you can comment and tag people on any item, any of those entities in Sharktower, the risks, the issues, the decisions, the meetings, the activities, the projects themselves. And all of that is data that we talk about and that we use to produce our project reporting. So without further ado, I will begin. So this is our sort of portfolio overview. So if I'm perhaps a senior stakeholder, maybe the way that I do this now is I get a PowerPoint document which has 90 odd slides in, one per project, and we sit for a 4-hour meeting, going project by project, trying to understand what the status of each one is and work out where to focus, what's been done recently, what's coming up, where are their blockers, where are their dependencies. And this is our sort of equivalent of that in Sharktower. So it's not a report that you receive on a regular basis, it's just live information that's in Sharktower for whenever you want to drill down and understand more. So if I were looking at this as a portfolio manager, senior stakeholder, I might come back to the green projects. So what this is telling me, each of these tiles is a project. Here we've got something perhaps a bit worrying. This project is reported in green, but the next milestone is a month and a bit overdue, and there's a lot of slippage in the plan. But you know, I trust my project managers. I'm going to come back to the green ones. I'm going to choose the order in which I kind of go through things. So I'll come back to those ones later. I'll start with the red ones. I can see that this has a milestone coming up soon. There's quite a lot of activities. You know, this project is bigger than these other ones, so I'm going to start with this one. So, and that's, you know, the way that I've chosen to focus. Other stakeholders might narrow it down differently. They might not trust their project managers and they might start with all the green projects and just review those first. But you can very quickly narrow down within Sharktower which of the projects you want to look at and then delve down further. So I am now inside one of these projects, and this is essentially our version of a project highlight report. So here I've got a lot of the things that you might expect in a typical kind of PowerPoint version of that, and then some other bits as well. So one of the things that we like to keep kind of up front and first and foremost in everyone's minds is the key business objectives, like the reason this project got started in the first place, why we're doing it. So actually another way that I might have chosen to drill down if I was a senior stakeholder is I could have started from those business objectives. So we keep those in Sharktower as well, in this area over here. And I could have drilled down through that because I might have a particular business objective that I'm particularly attached to. And that might have been how I chose to narrow down where I started. Yeah, I can see which business objective is behind this project. And that's really important for team members as well as, you know, as a navigational thing for them to understand what they should be prioritizing against day to day, what was the original reason for doing this project. Then you've got some other stuff that you might expect. So the project description, key milestones. So if I want a very quick understanding of what the main things that are coming up on the project, what the status is and when they're landing, I can just cycle through those here. And with most stuff in Sharktower, the content is the navigation. So if I wanted to find out more, I could drill down and delve into the detail here. But I'll show you that in a second. So just to explain what else is on here, we've got the RAG status. You can set that down to lower level detail as well as the overall detail. And you can also set some narrative as well. So we recognize that whilst a lot of the other reporting is aggregated data from elsewhere in Sharktower, there is still the need for the project manager to be able to add some narrative to what's going on. You know, there's going to be stuff going on in the world and in the company that that Sharktower doesn't necessarily know about. So this gives the project manager the ability to add that color to what's going on. And then we've also got this just overview of activity status. So I can see here there's a little bit of slippage and risk in the plan. About half the project's complete, but there might be something for me to look at here. And then over here is your kind of classic look back, look ahead. So what's been completed in the last 4 weeks, what's upcoming, and then perhaps the most important part, what's overdue. So as I said before, everything is connected in Sharktower, so I can drill down and understand more. So rather than kind of finding out in a weekly meeting that these things are overdue and then trying to work out the detail and understand the context, I can do that for myself very quickly. So if I click on this, it will take me into the plan. Now what you're looking at here is our delivery map. So essentially each of these lines is a piece of work and the color of the line tells you the team. So you can very quickly see how everything hangs together in the project, what all of the scope is and how the different teams are working together. So if I wanted to, I could do that drill down. I can come into the plan area. I can very quickly see what the slippage is, what's happened, what the underlying scope is underneath that activity, you know, the people involved in it. And I can also see the knock-on impact. So if I want to understand what that slippage might have caused, I can actually look further down, you know, follow the map across, and I can see the upcoming milestones that might be affected, what other teams might be affected. And I can just get that context a lot quicker than I would be able to if I was finding this out in a, you know, as I said, in a weekly meeting in a static PowerPoint document. So I may well still want to go and speak to a human about it, but I've been able to kind of get that context that I needed much quicker than I would be able to, and the data is all real time as well, so it's yeah, a lot better than that static data that we're used to. So I go back to the project overview. So there's a couple of things on here that you may not be used to seeing in your static PowerPoints. So we've got a few different AI-driven models. So we do use all of the data in Sharktower to aggregate it and display it in these ways that we've shown up here. But we also use it for a few other things. So we've got a team sentiment model. This looks at all of the underlying data, all of the free text data in Sharktower, and gives you a score based on that. It uses natural language processing to look at all of that data. So every item in the system can be commented on. As I said, you've got your RAG narrative here. There's a lot of free text in the system, and that can all be analysed by this model. It's probably worth saying all of these models are indicators. They are designed to be to augment your understanding of what's going on the project. And you may choose, if you saw a sort of downward slump in April this year, you probably say, right, well, I know why that is, lockdown, global pandemic, I can explain that drop in sentiment. But if you're further removed from the team, if you in this kind of world we work in now, we don't necessarily sit next to the people we're working with, and you can't get that feel for how they're working or how they're feeling, sorry. It's really important to just gauge, if possible, any other information we can on how they're feeling, because also ultimately the people on the ground doing the work are the people you want to be engaged and believing in the project. And if you're a senior stakeholder really far removed, you don't really want to hear after the fact that everyone on the project knew it was going to fail and it was a waste of time. You'd rather know that up front, because they're the people that understand what's going on. So it's just another way that we can use the data to augment our understanding of what's going on the project. Here you can see there's a bit of kind of explanation in terms of key influences. And again, as with everything in Sharktower, you can click on it, drill down, understand more what's gone on there. One of the other models that we have is the project health score. So this is designed to be an objective complement to the RAG status. So whilst, as I said earlier, the RAG reporting is still important, does still have value, it can often be a bit laggy. I'm maybe not going to report my project as red until I know how to get it back to green. But or perhaps, I don't even realize that the project is red. I haven't noticed something that's gone wrong somewhere. So with the project health score, it takes all of the data underneath the project in Sharktower and uses that to provide an objective score. So it's, how much slippage is there in the plan? Is the speed with which you're getting through work changing? And again, it's an indicator, so you want to be looking out for a trend, a change in normal behaviour. And again, you've got this further information in terms of what possible actions, follow-up actions you might want to take, and what those influences might have been, and you can drill down and find out more about those as well. We also have the project slippage model. So this is, we look at the plan, the sort of network of nodes and edges on that, and look at how much slippage have you got already, have you got areas of low confidence, and basically run some Monte Carlo simulations to look at, you think your end date of the project is this, we have actually simulated in 90% of cases it's actually this instead. And again, a few key influences here so that you can choose whether you want to act and delve down further. So really what we're trying to do with those AI-driven models is just add to your human understanding of what's going on in the project and use the data in a slightly different way. So hopefully that kind of brings to life a bit what we're trying to do with our equivalent of the project highlight report, as opposed to a single slide, and the fact that all of the data is connected and real time. The other thing you might be wondering about is the RAID log. So obviously that forms such an important part of project reporting generally. So in Sharktower, the way that you can see that is essentially in the Kanban view. So I can see here all of my risks and issues. I can actually raise them against a specific part of the plan. So rather than just having a RAID log that is sitting in a silo somewhere, am I looking at the right version of the spreadsheet? What's the actual impact of this risk? I can see what's the activity that is relating to. Again, I can drill down, get to the plan, look around that kind of area of the plan and understand what the knock-on impact of that risk could be. And I can also raise the mitigation steps in here as well, so that the way that we do that, again, rather than just having a cell in your Excel which contains the action that someone's going to take to try to mitigate the risk, we just create that as an action in Sharktower. So I can see here that I'm going to need a particular person to come and help with this risk to make sure it doesn't become an issue, and then I've got an action for someone to make sure that they go and do that. The other thing that we like to do in Sharktower is, if you wanted to make sure that risk or decision got discussed in a particular meeting, you can actually assign them to meetings. So if I, we've got our weekly raid log review and I want to make sure this is a topic of conversation, I can add it to the meeting, which is where we kind of group our actions, decisions, risk issues and so on that come out of meetings. I can add it to that meeting and make sure that comes up in conversation in that meeting. So yeah, hopefully that kind of brings to life how we do raid reporting. I guess really with Sharktower, we call that project overview page the project report, and the projects page is the sort of portfolio view, but really all of the data in Sharktower is the report, because you use that term just to mean this kind of cadence of reviewing the project, but actually with everything being real time and being able to drill down and understand the data, the plan is itself a report, because you can understand what's going on in the project from there as well. So that's everything I wanted to cover in terms of how we do reporting in Sharktower. Do we have any questions at all?
Thank you, Lindsay. That was great. I've just got one that's come through. Do you benchmark a company's performance against the company's own data, or do you benchmark it against industry data too?
So to start with, we do benchmark it against company data, yes. So I think probably what that question is referring to is in here. You can see a company average as well as your kind of current score for that project. Again, that's just to try and help you understand a bit better where you fit. We don't want people to get too hung up on, oh no, I'm 14 instead of 15 and everyone else is 16. But it's just to give you a bit more context to it. What we will do in future is absolutely give you that industry average, because perhaps that in some cases that might be more relevant than the company one, because it's going to be based on projects that are more similar to the project that you're running. So that's absolutely where we'd be going next with that.
That's the only question I've got.
Okay, cool. So in that case, back over to you to close.
Great, thank you. So just to follow up, there's a few resources. If you'd like a personalised one-to-one demonstration, if you just pop onto sharktower.com, there's request a demo on every page. Likewise, if you'd like to start a trial, then please again jump onto the website and there's buttons all over. We've got an active blog, so tune in and see our weekly news and views. And next week's webinar will be hosted by the Project Data Analytics community. They are running Project Unplugged at 12:30 on the 18th. So give us a shout if you want further details of that, or just go on to Meetup and look for Project Data Analytics community. So with that, I think the final slide is just a thank you and further details. No, that's our last one. So there we go. Thanks ever so much for tuning in, and this recording will be available on our website and on YouTube. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.